filmed an entire review of these shoes, but I did it in portrait mode. So guess what? I had to do it again in landscape because the length of everything that I ended up saying means that it's going to be unfeasible to post it as an Instagram post, and this is going to have to go on YouTube. I will post the unboxing of these as is, and then I'll get into those in a moment. But let's talk about the lifters first. So, here I have my Romaleo 4s. I'm gonna preface all of this by saying, these are great. I have no complaints about these. There's nothing bad about the way that these lifters feel or work. Very simply, I have spent so much time in the dojo, on the mats, barefoot in recent years, that I have found I am no longer as comfortable in shoes that have narrower toe boxes the way I used to. So, these aren't particularly narrow in terms of I don't feel like my toes are being pinched. They're actually fine. And truth be told, I injured my little pinky toe just before Pan Am Championships this year. So the size of the toe box of the Romaleos was exactly what I needed to be able to do my weightlifting without that little toe feeling compromised. So straight up, these shoes are great. I have no problem with these. Simply that I have been for a while, moving in the direction of a slightly wider toe box, just because that's been more comfortable for me in general. So, I've been thinking about these Lou lifters for a while. Like I said, I've joined the club. I'm seeing that a lot of weightlifters have been moving towards using these, and I figured that there has to be a reason. If there's been such a mass exodus from other types of lifters to so many people using these that I know personally and that I've just seen all over the place, there's got to be a reason, right? So, chatting with a friend of mine who, has her own set of friends in her weightlifting club, because not everybody is like me, being a little troglodyte in their home gym by themselves. Do you hear my tiny violin? I do miss having other weightlifters to train with, so straight up. Anyway, I asked a friend of mine to help me out, and she sent me a picture that more or less looked like this. A pair of Lous next to a pair of Romaleo 4s. And I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but the toe box looks just that bit wider. That's what made me decide I'm gonna buy these. That's what really helped me decide it. And I'll go ahead and say right now, these are gorgeous. So I chose the Panda colorway because as a lifter for Trinidad and Tobago, where our national colors are red, white, and black, and my singlets are pretty much always red and black, white and black or all black shoes have been my preference to match, because I like matching, and they're just pretty. I find this is a really solid colorway. The design of these shoes, I think, are just gorgeous. The materials look really good. They feel really good. Branding is on point. You've got Xiao Jun on the back of the heel, on the top strap, logo on the tongue, the side, insole, and all on the bottom of the sole. It's very nice. It even says Xiao Jun in the little hole there. I don't know if there's a name for that hole, and I'm probably not going to look it up before I post this, so we're calling it the hole. So yeah, design-wise, gorgeous. Really like them. When I look at them side by side, the Lous and the Romaleos, I was really happy to discover that the sizing on the site seemed really spot on, because lengthwise, that is exactly what I need. The Romaleos fit well. I've had no problem with the actual sizing of the shoe for my foot. So off the bat, these being the same length, good point, good start. The size of the sole on the bottom is quite similar, actually. At their widest points, they're about the same, like at the base of the sole, right? I notice that the toe box has more room in kind of all directions. And so in terms of, it's a bit wider at this point right here. You could actually see it when they're lined up. You can see that a little bit more real estate right there. And I noticed that it looks like there's also just more height there as well. I will say the material that this is made of does feel a bit thicker. Romaleos, I will say, they are very lightweight materials. They breathe really well. It's a big reason I like them. I don't have any reason to think that the Loos are not going to breathe well. They feel pretty good just off the bat. I have tried them on, and I will say, the fit of these, really good. Everything that I've just highlighted there by putting them side by side, when my foot got inside this shoe, it was spot on what it is I'm looking for. Just a little bit more room in that toe box for my toes to have a bit of spread. It is worth noting, I do not want my lifters to be so roomy that my toes are going to be swimming around in that toe box. Nobody would really want that. There's a reason why I do put lifters on and don't lift barefoot all the way through. Now, what am I talking about there is the fact that I am one of those people, I warm up barefoot. That's why I'm gonna get to those shoes in a moment. But this initial try on of the Lou lifters, immediately I love them. They feel really snug, comfortable. The cushioning around the ankle is very nice. So it feels like the ankle support is pretty good here. It's ticking a lot of good boxes. I'm really looking forward to getting these on the platform and seeing how they feel in my lifting session tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, they're very pretty. I am happy to have joined this club. I was very excited when these got in today. I didn't start this video off saying it, but my little unboxing video, I got in from work. I opened these in my work clothes with my work hair. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and address that. I did not pretty myself up for this at all. This is 100% just, I was excited, I grabbed them, I opened them. I love them, they are great. Just initial first impressions, 10 out of 10, loving them already. So pretty much when I get them on the platform is just to see if they retain all of those stars. So that's the lifters. Like I said, I got another pair of shoes over here. I ended up not posting the unboxing of these. These are barefoot shoes. Once again, coming back to this whole, I've been barefoot on the mats a lot recently. So I have, in general, been looking at buying barefoot shoes. I was on Amazon, I was reading different listicles, being like, okay, you know, what reviews are saying what, which barefoot shoes should I consider actually spending my money on? And then I go onto xiaojun.com to pick up these lifters, and I see that they have barefoot shoes. Kind of feels like things are aligning. So let's take a look. There are not many reviews of these because they are pretty new. So I will admit, I bought these more or less based off of comparing the aesthetics of them to other barefoot shoes that I was considering. Most notably the Merrells, or a pair of Merrells that I had quite liked, but these are just very, very pretty. So yeah, I did kind of shop buying, you know, judging the book by its cover kind of thing here. However, I figured why not? They They had a shape comparable to other barefoot shoes that I was looking at, which already felt like a good start. And as I said, I'm noticing so many weightlifters using the Lou lifters, so I figured that there had to be a reason that we're all trusting this brand. I was honestly a bit worried about buying 2 pairs of shoes from a brand I hadn't tried previously, simply because it's not the easiest thing to return online shopping purchases from Trinidad. You know, I wasn't looking forward to having to figure out what to do if I needed to change sizes. Thankfully, as I mentioned with the lifters, they both fit fantastically. They fit exactly like I would want them to fit, quite frankly. And the whole thing about why I want barefoot shoes, again, comes back to the whole thing of me having been on the mats in the dojo, literally being barefoot a lot. I used to use shoes that had a much narrower toe box, which felt great for all of the running and jumping and crossfitting and all of that kind of stuff. That was kind of the design of shoes that I knew. In recent years, I have leaned more towards using ASICs, in particular the Gel Nimbus line, and those have been great. I've established that I have quite a neutral gait. I neither overpronate nor underpronate. If you are buying shoes for any greater level of walking or running, I strongly recommend that you look at getting shoes that are suited to your gait. It makes a big difference. Because I kind of figured I have a neutral gait, it meant I could use any of the ASICS lines. Guess what? I felt a big difference when I actually switched over to the Gel Nimbus, from which I think I was using the Gel Kayanos before. Very comfortable shoes, nothing wrong with them. They just weren't as well suited to my feet and to my gait the way that the Gel Nimbus are. It's just knowing what's going to be right for your body. So those actually still are fantastic. I use them for working, walking, running, fetting. I played mass in Gel Nimbus shoes on both days. I literally had 2 different pairs of Gel Nimbus shoes to use for Carnival this year, and they were phenomenal. They felt comfortable and they survived. Everybody who is like, yeah, those shoes will just die after 2 days on the road or 1 day on the road, yeah, they did not. They survived and they are perfect. I love them. So I'm not going to retire those. Very likely they're going to continue being my work shoes at least for a while, but I have been wanting to get into the barefoot shoe game. Like I said, I spend a lot of time barefoot on the mats. I spend a lot of time barefoot in general, well, much more so than I used to. I used to spend very little time barefoot at all. I come from an Asian household. Guess what? We have indoor slippers. I've pretty much always had some form of footwear on my feet all day, every day, for most of my adult life. Being actually barefoot has been great. It has developed much more activation in how I use my feet. My feet feel good. You know, something I didn't really think about. Being barefoot is fantastic for actually using your feet. So I wanted to get barefoot shoes, and I will now be exploring how they feel in a bit of day-to-day use. Another great thing that this is going to allow, I mentioned, I warm up barefoot. Guess what? That's fine when you have a home gym that you are controlling what is going in there, what is going on there. Like, my lifters don't leave the gym. If I use my lifters in a competition, or when I use my lifters in a competition, as soon as I get home, I sanitize the soles before I use them again in the gym. So I can be barefoot in my home gym, warming up, and it's no problem. My feet are not being exposed to any, outside bacteria. When you are in a training hall, warming up for a competition, sharing space with other people who are walking all over the place, your platform is not clean. It is not, sterile. So I walk with wipes. I warm up barefoot as normal, and then I wipe my feet, clean them off before I put my socks on and put my feet into my shoes. Hygiene is important. We want to avoid getting any kinds of infections. So I'm hoping that these barefoot trainers are going to allow me to have the barefoot feeling while I warm up in public spaces without compromising my hygiene. To get into what these look like, again, very pretty. Kind of mesh top. I can see my fingers a little bit through them. I don't know if it'll pick up on camera. Again, branding on point. Logo on the side, on the tongue, insole, and one logo on the sole. I will admit, when I looked at pictures of these online, I was slightly concerned as to whether the soles would be grippy enough. I used to use, other rubber sole shoes like Skechers that had similar looking soles. But what would happen is that on different types of tile, using them for work, where I'm a dog groomer, I'd be bathing dogs, the tiles would get wet, and I would just slip right off. But these feel pretty grippy. When I tried them on tile, and they feel good. It feels like, although they look a bit smooth, the material that they're made of is actually a good type of grippy rubber. So that's really good. I'm happy about that. Quite flexible. I mean, they are barefoot, meaning it's a zero drop sole. The height of the sole at the heel and the toe is the same, unlike with weightlifting shoes where you're going to have, a couple of millimeters of drop from the heel down to the toe. I want to say most lifters are anywhere between 6 and 11 millimeters. I would have to verify that, but this is me talking at least off of memory from other lifters that I've looked at. Do not bite my head off, please, if my numbers are slightly off. Also, that was quite a wide range that I gave on purpose, just in case, I'm somewhere in the general correct region, but maybe a little bit off. Anyway, barefoot shoes obviously mean that they do not have any kind of drop. I did notice when I put them on that similarly to flip-flops, there's a bit more of a curve by the instep to support the foot arches, which I think is good. I generally feel more comfortable in flip-flops that have a bit of an arch, to their shape as opposed to being completely flat. So I imagine that I would feel similarly with barefoot shoes. So I think that that's actually a good design feature. I will see as I use them how that really plays out. I'll start off trying them for warm-up shoes, and then I will introduce them to, a bit more use, day-to-day stuff. They will leave the gym and become more going out shoes. And then let's see. I may end up investing in another pair to actually be longer distance, outdoor shoes. I would not go out on a limb just yet to say that I'm going to be switching my mass shoes from Asics just yet, but never say never. One more thing, having spoken about the shape of the insoles inside these barefoot shoes, I want to look at the insoles that came in the lifters. These are the insoles that came inside in the box, like the standard. It has some characters on it. I cannot read them. My Duolingo has not taught me enough to be able to understand what these are, and I feel like maybe I'm failing. On the bottom of these, they do have a little thing. It's hard, probably going to be hard to see. It's a line on this side. It says firm. On this side, it says soft, and it's got like a toggle that's showing that it's soft. And it says right here, performance tuned insole. I read that correctly, and then I forgot what it said. Performance tuned insole. So these are the soles that came inside the shoe. These soles came inside a plastic bag that was inside the box. A key difference is that the performance tuned insoles, the ones that were inside the shoe, you could see a much more pronounced shape to the arch of the instep, whereas the extra pair do not have such a pronounced arch. I don't think that they feel necessarily firmer. I mean, they're definitely not as cushioned, so they are a bit flatter. And like I said, they don't have as much of a pronounced arch. I haven't tried the shoes on with these soles to tell you what they feel like. I will say that these feel very comfortable for my foot shape and size. I do have a, you know, I wouldn't say overpronounced, but a arch to my instep. I do not have a flat foot. So I will not go out there and say this is necessarily going to be better for flat-footed people, but maybe. Do not quote me. I'm not a podiatrist. I do not have any expertise in feet whatsoever. I'm simply going off of what I'm seeing in front of me here, which is that this seems a bit flatter, this less flat. Now, for all I know, this could also be for people who would rather have a bit less of a noticeable kind of drop in their insole. I mean, the drop is really in the sole itself, so I'm not sure 100%. I will not say too much more about that until I try them and see how they feel, but you know what? You watching this, you can do with this information what you will. This could be relevant to you. This could be helpful. I don't know. But I'm going to put these ones back in for my use in general right now, because like I said, I tried them on and they were comfortable. So that's what I'm looking at with these two different pairs of shoes from Xiao Jun. I will apologize right now if I'm not pronouncing his name very well. Again, I'm actually learning Mandarin on Duolingo. I should do better. However, my mother's not home for me to ask her to kind of help me make sure I'm saying that correctly. So we're going to pretend that, like, you know, that's a good reason. In any case, I am very happy with my purchases here. I'm really looking forward to trying these on the platform tomorrow. And I'm also looking forward to seeing how these barefoot shoes feel as I put them through the ringer in different scenarios. So yeah, I mean, right now, I would say I'm a very satisfied customer. First impressions are phenomenal. They feel great. Trying them on, they both feel really, really fantastic. If you want, I can add, in fact, I might just add the footage of me trying them on at the end of this video. It's gonna be in the wrong orientation, but you can see the real-time reaction of me slipping my foot into these shoes and just being like, yeah, these are great. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate if you clicked on this video and watched it. I hope that it could be helpful to anybody that's considering getting either of these shoes and wanted to know a little bit more of an opinion out there, because I mean, I found that even though the lifters are pretty well established at this point, there are only a handful of reviews that are kind of going into any real comparisons against other established weightlifting shoes. And I mean, these are really new. So there aren't even any reviews of them on the website, which I mean, I will try and remember to go and write something once I've tried them on a little bit and see how they feel. So yeah, like I said, thanks very much. Y'all take care. Bye.